Hey everybody. So we hiked on down the trail a little bit, and while we were hiking, we noticed a few things in the dirt on the way here. So if you can notice right here in the middle of your screen, there should be what appear to be some little paw prints. And it's not just those paw prints, but there's all sorts of other tracks that we are seeing along the way. So a lot of these tracks, as you can tell, like this one, is very obviously a horse track. Somebody was riding a horse or something like that down this way. But some of these other ones are a little bit more interesting. Like these paw prints we started with, they could very well be, a bobcat or a canine of sorts. Um, Usually the way you can tell the difference is that canines, they will leave claw marks in their footprints. These ones, it doesn't look like there are many claw marks because uh, wild cats of various kinds, they retract their claws so they don't leave the claw marks in their print. So my guess is maybe bobcat because it's big enough, or could just be a house cat as well. In addition to that, we also have some what appear to be some wild pig tracks. So there are wild pigs that live in this creek corridor, and they do traverse through here, eating all sorts of things. But before we switched over um, to our screen, Claire and I did indeed see some rather sizable deer bounding through the brush that we accidentally startled. We didn't get a chance to look at them, but yeah. So this area is really extra special because lots of lots of reasons. The Let me get in front of the camera actually. So the this area is part of a wildlife corridor. So what that means is that it's an area where wildlife of various sizes, especially the larger sizes, are able to connect to major habitats. So this area is basically the closest connection point between the Diablo Range and the Santa Cruz Mountains. So animals and creatures over in Santa Cruz and Almaden Quicksilver Mine Park can cross around this area and go over to the Diablo Range. This is really important because otherwise this habitat would be totally fragmented, and lots of animals, they need a large range to really thrive. So animals like mountain lions, for example, they are low population density and they need large areas. So when we cut habitat in half with freeways and such, it can really impact different wildlife. And there's even been studies done with some squirrels somewhere. I forget exactly where, but they were shown to be, their population was split by a freeway. And then over time, those two populations became genetically distinct-ish. Not enough to be like different species, but it it shows that the actions and the things that we build actually have an impact on the wildlife. And sometimes that can be negative impacts. So this area is really, really important for wildlife to traverse through this sort of watershed. And as you might well imagine, this is also the area where there is a high amount of actual roadkill that happens. So a lot of these wildlife, like bobcats and the deer that I mentioned earlier, and all sorts of other creatures, and badgers and all sorts of things, bobcats, they get hit by cars. And actually, a lot of the incidents aren't happening here on 101. Our 101 bridge is right here, at least, is sort of lofty. It's up high. But a lot of it actually happens on Monterey Road, which is parallel to the freeway, but is on that lower ground. So, and that's a lot of animals coming from, the areas over there, the wetlands over there, and they're traveling over here, and people driving fast or not paying attention, it harms the wildlife. And if you think about it, it is also an economic cost. Thinking like how many accidents, and when a car hits an animal, it's not like the car is undamaged. So keeping that in mind as well. So yeah, this is a very critical area, and the Open Space Authority and other agencies are working hard on trying to make it easier for wildlife to cross here so that their populations can be more healthy.